Chapter 1. Miss By. This is your scheduled death service. The time of death is set for 3 days after the baby's full moon banquet. And the method of death is drowning. The pretender is you and you baby. Please confirm. Charlotte gently patted the sleeping baby in her arms as she signed her name at the Part A of the documents. Leaving the agency, Charlotte noticed the shopping mall's large screen looping footage of media interviews with Nicholas. The man held hands with his first love. His eyes soft. Miranda's Luis is only 3 years old. Just at the age when he needs a father's love. So we currently have no plans for another child. I don't want to make him sad. Nicholas's answer caused a frenzy of screams from onlookers. TSK. The cold-faced CEO neglects his own biological son and treats the child of his first love after divorce like a treasure. How devoted and single-minded he is. It's enviable to death. This is the person that President Lin fell in love with at 16. Even though he was once abandoned by Miranda due to his blindness, he remained infatuated and waited 3 years to finally embrace his beloved. Such a magnanimous and devoted man is rare in this world. That simp Charlotte thought that taking care of the blind President Lin for 3 years would win his heart. Those two are the real lovebirds, right? Charlotte, that scheming woman, actually thought that by risking her life to give birth to President Lin's son, she could win back President Lin's heart. He has never even glanced at her. For goodness sake, she's just daydreaming. I've never seen such a shameless woman. She knows that President Lin only has feelings for Miranda, yet she clings to the position of Mrs. Lin, refusing to leave. Her thoughts are so dark. The cold words of the crowd pierced Charlotte's heart like a sharp sword, leaving it riddled with wounds, making it impossible for her to breathe. Everyone in the northern city knows she is Nicholas's #1 sycophant. After being infatuated with him for 8 years, she clung to him until she became Mrs. Lin, but they did not know. 5-year-old Nicholas gave his mother's diamond ring to her, saying he would marry her when he grew up. At 15, Nicholas seriously tattooed their initials over his heart, saying earnestly, "Charlotte, I want to love you every day, never to part." At 18, Nicholas risked his life to rush into a burning building to save her, but was struck on the head by a falling beam and needed emergency surgery. The doctor said he might lose his memory. Before the surgery, Nicholas removed the Buddha beads he had worn since childhood and put them on her, laughing heartily, "Charlotte, not even death can separate us, let alone a little amnesia. Wait for me, I will definitely remember you. Remember to wear the Buddha beads and don't take them off, they are a token of recognition." Later, Nicholas woke up but had forgotten all memories before the age of 16. He even mistakenly took his secret crush, Miranda, as his girlfriend. For 8 years, Charlotte tried every possible way to help Nicholas regain his memories. Instead, because Mrs. Lin insisted on having him marry her, it made Nicholas even more resentful. Even when she was in labor and nearly died, Nicholas said, "Just wait until Charlotte dies to inform me. It will free up Mrs. Lin's position for Miranda." These words drained Charlotte of her last shred of affection for him. From then on, she only wanted to completely leave his world and never see him again. The sound of a baby crying interrupted Charlotte's thoughts. She hurried into the nearby shopping mall, looking for a mother and baby room to feed her child. Unfortunately, she ran into Nicholas on the first-floor toy store, accompanying his first-loved son to buy a gun. The man patiently selected, a cold expression on his face filled with smiles. The moment he saw Charlotte, Nicholas's smile vanished. He said coldly, "Aside from asking about my whereabouts all day and crying for me to come home, can't you do something more serious?" Chapter 2. Alright, Nicholas, Charlotte is still in her confinement period. Her body is very weak, and she needs care right now. If she doesn't take good care of herself during this time, it could lead to lasting health issues. Miranda assertively linked her arm with the man's, her smile gentle, "Since Charlotte has come to find you, be obedient and go home with her today. Your baby is almost a month old, and you, as a father, have never held him. That's really not appropriate." "Humph. Charlotte's child is merely a tool for me to appease the elders. He doesn't deserve to be held by me." Nicholas fondly pinched Miranda's cheek. "Even if he's not my biological son, it still feels good to hold the son you gave birth to." The argument among the three drew the attention and whispers of passers-by. "Oh my, isn't that President Lin and his wife? After all, this is the child that Charlotte struggled to give birth to. Isn't President Lin being a bit harsh saying that? After all, during those 3 years of blindness President Lin was cared for by Charlotte without a moment's rest. So why does he sound like he wishes this woman would die? Yes, President Lin is quite terrible. Women have just given birth and their bodies are very weak, yet they receive no concern from their husbands. It's quite pitiful. Bystanders always take advantage of the situation. In this scene, some insult Charlotte, while others speak up for her. She has grown accustomed to it. Charlotte looked at Nicholas's face filled with disgust, her eyes suddenly feeling sore. He had long forgotten that he once risked his life to rush into the fire to save her. He forgot that when she was diagnosed with leukemia, he had gone against all odds to donate his bone marrow to her. Forget that he promised they would love each other every day and never be apart. The one trapped by those sweet memories is not Nicholas, but her. Fortunately, in 3 days, she would completely leave his world, never to meet again. The baby's cries grew increasingly frantic, and Charlotte, anxious and desperate, pushed past the obstructing Miranda and rushed into the mother and baby room at the end of the road. Outside the door, the sound of a woman collapsing and a man's anguished cry echoed. She was focused on feeding the baby when she heard her phone ringing incessantly. It was Nicholas calling. Charlotte decisively hit the power button. After calming the baby, she walked out of the mother and baby room and saw Nicholas resting on a bench with Miranda. The woman had a band-aid on her forehead, tears streaming down her face. "Nicholas, you mustn't blame Charlotte. She was just anxious about the baby and accidentally pushed me a little. It was definitely not intentional to ruin my looks." "Humph. This woman knows very well that you rely on your looks for a living, yet she deliberately pushed you down. Her intentions are simply malicious." Nicholas, his face as cold as ice, sternly shouted, "Charlotte, hurry over and apologize to her." No need. Miranda, while verbally declining, had a look of pride in her eyes. Charlotte, looking at her without any emotion, took off the Buddha beads she wore closely and handed them over. "Today I have offended you, so let me use this to make amends." Upon hearing this, Nicholas's eyes flashed with confusion, and Miranda was also greatly astonished, pretending to decline. "Charlotte, absolutely not. This is your most treasured necklace. You should keep it." "My face is really fine. You don't need to be so nervous." "Charlotte, what trick are you trying to play this time?" Nicholas suppressed a sudden unease that arose in his heart, frowning in displeasure. "Previously, when I asked you to return the Buddha beads to Miranda, you cried, made a scene, and threatened to hang yourself in defiance. Why are you suddenly willing today?" "I'm not playing tricks. I just don't want it anymore." Charlotte looked indifferent as she left with the child. Halfway, she was blocked by Nicholas. "Don't think that playing this retreat to advance trick will make me agree to go home with you. Have you gone mad thinking about men? Dream on." Charlotte placed the Buddha beads in his hand, not giving the man a single glance, and walked away briskly. 3 days later, she would completely leave his world. How could she possibly cherish the Buddha beads he gave her? And how could she care whether he still wanted to go home? Chapter 3. Nicholas vaguely felt Charlotte seemed to have changed, but he couldn't pinpoint how. He carefully wiped the Buddha beads clean and handed them to Miranda. "This is my most treasured protective Buddha bead. I'm giving it to you." "Nicholas, Charlotte seems to be angry. You should go back quickly," Miranda softly advised. "What does it matter to me whether she is angry or not?" Nicholas said. "Let's go." The clock on the wall struck 12. Nicholas still had not returned home. In the past, Charlotte would call everyone around him to inquire about his whereabouts and persuade him to come home. After all, he had undergone 2 brain surgeries and couldn't stay up late. Now she is in a hurry to dispose of everything, unwilling to waste time on insignificant people. Charlotte instructed the nanny to inventory the gifts she had given to Nicholas over the years. It filled 5 large boxes. There were watches and calligraphy worth hundreds of thousands, as well as 136 sets of haute couture suits, and there were 238 love letters that Nicholas had once written to her. Once, she tried to use these passionate letters to awaken the man's love and memories for her. Little did she expect that her roommate Miranda had secretly sabotaged her, delaying her visit to the hospital to see Nicholas. By the time she rushed to the hospital holding the love letter, the awakened Nicholas was tightly holding Miranda's hand. He looked at her with deep affection. "Miranda, I will treat you well for a lifetime. I want to make you a legendary movie star." She was filled with pain and sadness, desperately wanting to use the love letter and Buddha beads to prove her identity. What she received instead was Nicholas's cold skepticism. "What a scheming woman, daring to secretly change the protagonist of the love letter I wrote for Miranda to be you? You even deliberately got the same tattoo on your chest as mine, stealing the Buddha beads I gave to Miranda? Simply despicable to the extreme." The boy who once loved her so much only believed the lies Miranda fabricated, leaving him with nothing but disgust and disdain for her. No matter how his brothers explained, Nicholas insisted that she was scheming to take Miranda's place. He even threatened that if they spoke up for her again, he would cut ties with them. Charlotte thought of the 8 years spent chasing after Nicholas, the hopeless waiting and his cold mockery, as tears blurred her vision. If he really loves her, How could he have no physical memory of her and mistake someone else for his girlfriend? How could he hurt her so deeply, not giving her even a shred of trust? Ultimately, it's because Nicholas doesn't love her enough that he easily believes others' temptations. She suppressed the bitterness in her heart and threw the wedding ring into the trash can. Then she doused the discarded item in gasoline. The servant nanny retrieved the ring from the trash can, her tone anxious. "Madam, this is the lily wedding ring that your husband personally polished and carved for you when he was 16. It cannot be discarded. These gift boxes and love letters are all things that the gentleman once cherished the most. If you burn them, he won't be able to bear it. Please give the gentleman a little more time. He loves you so much, and he will surely regain his memory." No matter whether Nicholas will regain his memory, I no longer want him. Charlotte threw the lit lighter onto the clothes. The Nicholas the first loved died at 16, and he will never come back. The flames illuminated Charlotte's cold, clear eyes. It contains overwhelming sadness, but more so a longing for the future. 62 hours later, she completely disappeared with her son, leaving Nicholas with nothing. Chapter 4. As she was about to sleep, Charlotte heard the torrential rain and thunder outside. She was most afraid of the sound of thunder, quickly put on her noise-canceling headphones, and curled up in the blanket like a shrimp, waiting for the thunder to pass. Suddenly, she heard the sharp cry of her son in the crib. She endured fear and got up to check. Seeing the baby's body was burning hot and his little face was flushed, still continuously spitting up milk. Charlotte's expression changed slightly as she hurriedly took the child downstairs to catch a taxi to the hospital. The marriage house where she lives is in the suburbs, and on a rainy day, it's hard to get a taxi. Charlotte was extremely anxious when she saw a familiar Rolls-Royce driving by. Inside the car were Nicholas and Miranda. "Stop, quick, stop." Charlotte couldn't care less about her grievances with him. While struggling against the fierce wind to hold up her umbrella, she ran with all her might to the car, knocking on the window and shouting, "Nicholas, let me in. Our Domingo has a high fever and needs to go to the hospital." Nicholas rolled down the window, staring into her eyes, his voice cold. "What a cunning woman you are. You see, I haven't returned home for a long time, and now you lie about the child being sick to trick me, huh? Domingo really has a fever." Charlotte, panicking and sweating, said in a trembling voice, "Nicholas, I've never asked you for anything, just this once. I beg you, considering I took care of your blindness for 3 years, please take me and my son to the hospital. He needs to see a doctor quickly." "Nicholas, it's hard to get a taxi in the rain. Just let them come up." Miranda helped the man adjust his tie, her tone gentle. "The injury on my forehead will heal in a few days. It's nothing, you fool. How many times has Charlotte tricked you? When will you learn?" Nicholas furrowed his brow in displeasure. "We need to take Louise to the hospital for a dental appointment. There's no time to waste on her. Drive." The car sped away, splashing mud that soaked Charlotte's trench coat. It made her skin grow cold inch by inch, cold enough to shiver uncontrollably and be unable to speak. Nicholas forgot how much he once loved her. Wishing for her death was cruel enough. Tonight, he even turned a blind eye to his own son in need. What a failure as a father. She forced her weary body to run to the main road, frantically waving at the passing cars. Finally, a DD car stopped. The driver ran over and opened the door, saying, "Is your child sick? Get in. I'll take you to the hospital." "Thank you." Charlotte held the child tightly, tears streaming down her face. "Domingo, you have to hold on. We will be at the hospital soon." "Little girl, I see your baby is very small, probably not even a month old yet. How could you, a parturient, come out in this condition with such a high fever?" The driver asked. "Where's your husband?" "He died." Charlotte's tone was indifferent. The driver looked at her sympathetically. "It's really not easy. I have dry towels in my trunk. You should dry your hair. It's not good to catch a cold during the confinement period, especially since you can't take any medicine." Charlotte thanked him and wiped her hair with a towel. She saw the car speed like lightning, catching up to the Rolls-Royce ahead, waiting for the red light. Through the car window, she saw Miranda on Nicholas's lap, kissing him and casting a provocative glance her way. "Little girl, is that rich man in the car your husband?" The driver followed Charlotte's gaze and shouted angrily. "This is just too inhumane. The child is sick like this, and he's still entangled with his mistress, ignoring you too. But you gave birth to a son. So what if it's a son? He only likes raising other people's sons, not his own." Charlotte lowered her head, using alcohol to wipe her baby's armpits and elbows, her voice bitter. "Master, please hurry up." Chapter 5. Upon arriving at the hospital, Charlotte's baby was urgently taken into the rescue room for treatment. The emergency department doctor issued a bill for her to pay. because the child is a premature baby. All the medications used are imported, totaling over 20,000. Charlotte quit her job after marriage to focus on taking care of Nicholas. All of her savings, just over 200,000, were spent on the baby. Now, there is hardly anything left. She rummaged through the black card that Nicholas had given her, trying each one, only to find that they had all been cancelled by the dog man. She made a round of calls, but no one was willing to help. With no other choice, she called Nicholas. The phone was answered immediately, and Miranda's voice came through. "Charlotte, what's wrong?" "Nicholas is in the shower right now." Before Charlotte could speak, laughter from a woman and the sound of a phone dropping could be heard. "Nicholas, don't be in such a hurry. My hair isn't dry yet." The sultry sounds coming from the phone were unbearable. She hung up the phone in disappointment, worrying about whom to borrow money from in an emergency. In the emergency department when the doctor proactively offered to cover her medical expenses, Charlotte was surprised and grateful, deeply bowing to him. "Ren doctor, thank you for saving my child and me that day, and for helping me again today. I'll pay you back once I sell the marital home. You don't need to rush to pay me back." Ren the doctor looked at her with pity. "You're still in your confinement period. You shouldn't be exposed to the wind or get cold. Take care of your health and don't do anything foolish. After all, your life and your child's life were saved after our department fought for a whole day and night." Charlotte felt a warmth in her heart, and tears silently slid down her cheeks. Even the doctor she barely knew was willing to lend a helping hand. Yet her husband, to punish her, had cancelled all her bank cards. He was indifferent to the child, busy fooling around with his lover. She, Mrs. Lin, truly lived without dignity, without value. Living like a joke. "Mrs. Lin, you can't cry during the confinement period. It will make your eyes sick." Dr. Ren comforted her, saying, "You have to hold on. I need to go to the rescue room." Charlotte wiped away the tears at the corners of her eyes and bit her lip, saying, "I will live well. For my Domingo. By the way, Mrs. Lin, aren't you going to tell President Lin about the new drug our hospital has successfully developed?" Dr. Ren said, "This drug can repair damaged brain nerves, and it should help President Lin recover his memory quickly. Wait until the baby's full moon banquet the day after tomorrow, then you can tell him," Charlotte said. 2 hours later, the little guy's high fever was finally under control. She tightly held her son, tears wetting the child's small face. Dr. Ren said that if she had come 10 minutes later, her son would have had a high fever leading to cerebral palsy. This child was just born and weighs only 4.5 pounds. He survived for a full half-month in the incubator. Nicholas only came once when the child was discharged, looking at him with disdain and leaving after 3 minutes. And today, because of Nicholas's inaction, the child almost became disabled. Such a person is not only unworthy of being a father, he is even unworthy of being a human being. She wants him to regret his actions today once his memory returns. He must never see them again after his memory is restored. Let him endure the heart-wrenching pain every night, forever tormented by his conscience. Charlotte went downstairs to get medicine holding the child. In the elevator, I encountered Nicholas walking in with Miranda's son, smiling broadly. "Miranda, you don't need to save money for me. When it comes to getting the child's teeth fixed, use the best materials. 100,000 is just the cost of a belt for me." Charlotte lowered her gaze to hide the coldness in her eyes. When the day comes that Nicholas regains his memory, will he still be so generous to Miranda's son? She couldn't wait to envision the scene of him breaking down and crying. Chapter 6. Thank you for being so nice to Luis. Miranda looked up and saw Charlotte in the elevator, her expression forced as she smiled awkwardly. "Charlotte, is your Domingo okay? You look really unwell. Why not let Nicholas take care of the child for a while? Does she even deserve for me to look after the child?" Nicholas let out a cold snort and said, "Charlotte, you're really willing to go to such lengths to get me to come home, even bringing your sick son to the hospital to block me? How can there be such a heartless and ungrateful mother in this world?" Charlotte completely treated him as if he were air, lowering her head to tidy the child's clothes. Unexpectedly, the strap of the mother and baby bag in hand broke, and the child's bottle and diapers fell all over the ground. She endured the intense pain from the knife wound in her abdomen, struggling to crouch down to pick something up. Just then, Miranda supported her arm. "Charlotte, you're injured. Don't move while I help you pick it up." "Miranda, why do you care about her?" Nicholas quickly pulled Miranda behind him, his tone displeased. "Who knows what trick she's trying to play to harm you? Stay away from her." "Nicholas, don't think so badly of Charlotte. After all, we were roommates," Miranda said gently. "Although she is slow to progress in her studies, she works very hard." "Heh, working hard to rank last in the entire grade?" Nicholas mockingly replied. "Having a mother like her, who is such a poor student, is a disgrace. Having a father like you, who is so heartless, is an even greater disgrace. Charlotte grimaced against the pain in her side, picked up the child's water cup, and said indifferently, "Don't ever say you are Domingo's father again, because you don't deserve it." Nicholas looked at Charlotte in disbelief. Suddenly, he felt that Charlotte was becoming more and more unfamiliar before his eyes. She had always been obedient in front of him, never daring to talk back like this. "Charlotte, put away your tricks of seduction," Nicholas said darkly. "I tell you, no matter what you do tonight, I will not be coming home." Without waiting for him to finish, Charlotte held the child and left the elevator. Suddenly, she stopped in her tracks, her eyes wide with surprise. For some reason, Domingo reached out a tiny hand from the blue blanket and grabbed Nicholas's sleeve, babbling something to him. The milk stains at the corner of the child's mouth dripping onto the man's hand. Nicholas, stunned for a moment, shook off the child's touch, threw his suit into the nearby trash can, and frowned as he shouted, "What are you doing? That's disgusting." The little one was frightened by his harsh tone, burying his head in Charlotte's chest and crying sadly. "Domingo, don't cry. Mommy is here." Charlotte, her heart felt like it was being cut. Gently kissing away the child's tears from the corner of his eyes, her voice choked, "Mommy will always be with you, my dear. From now on, we will rely on each other, and live well." Hearing this, Nicholas couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He looked at her despondent expression, a flicker of secret unease passing through his heart. It felt as if something was gradually slipping out of his control. "Nicholas, Luis has a nosebleed," Miranda said anxiously. "Quick, take him to the bathroom to clean up." Nicholas pulled his thoughts back and took Luis away, but suddenly stopped again, his voice cold and harsh. "Charlotte, the child's full moon banquet is the day after tomorrow. I warn you to take good care of the child and not to mess with him again, or I will hold you accountable." Charlotte looked down with a cold smile, not responding. In another 12 hours, she would leave with the child. At the child's full moon banquet, all he would receive is a divorce agreement. Chapter 7. The next day, Charlotte contacted the agent early in the morning to bring people to see the house. The elderly couple exchanged a glance, their expressions serious. "Mrs. Lin, you are still in confinement. Why are you in such a hurry to sell such a nice house? Is there some problem? If you sell the house, where will you live?" "I want to go back to my hometown to recuperate," Charlotte calmly said. "The property rights of the house are clear and without disputes. If you sincerely want to buy, I can lower the price by 500,000, but it must be paid in full." "Sure." The elderly couple readily agreed and signed the contract. Charlotte went with them to the property bureau to handle the transfer procedures and entrusted an agent to buy a move-in-ready house in Bhutan. After taking care of these matters, she cancelled all her bank cards. She then rushed to the administrative hall to collect her new passport and bought a ticket to leave South City tomorrow. As night fell, she dragged her weary body back home. Unexpectedly, she saw a pair of red high heels on the shoe rack that did not belong to her. On the floor lay a man's white shirt and a woman's black bra. Charlotte's head exploded with a bang. Running up the stairs in a stumble, I saw a pair of entwined bodies in the open master bedroom. Contraceptive supplies were scattered all over the floor. Hearing the noise, Miranda, who was half kneeling on the ground, showed a look of panic on her face as she pushed away the man behind her and said, "Nicholas, stop messing around. Charlotte is back. It's inappropriate for us to do this in front of her." "Humph, this is my home. I can do whatever I want. What right does she, a mere nominal wife, have to interfere?" Nicholas gripped the woman's waist tightly, launching yet another wave of assault. Charlotte clutched her mouth tightly and rushed downstairs to the bathroom, half kneeling by the toilet, vomiting uncontrollably. She vomited until bile came out. She leaned weakly against the wall, gasping for breath, letting her tears fall and form a river. Nicholas is really ruthless. Usually, she parades around Miranda without a care, but today, she even brought someone home to her room. What an insult. Her nails dug tightly into her palm, forcing herself to hold back her tears little by little. Taking the water handed over by the nanny, I weakly said, "Please tidy up the guest room on the first floor. I will be staying with Domingo tonight. Remember to move the aloe vera my mother left in the master bedroom down. It likes fresh air and cannot stand dirty things." "Okay, ma'am." The nanny hesitated and said, "Sir said Miranda wants you to make the yam and pork rib soup you cook, and ordered you to prepare it immediately and serve it. If you don't comply, he will never come back again." Charlotte's eyes were cold. "It's just as well he doesn't come back. It leaves me in peace." She was sleeping soundly in the guest room, wrapped in a blanket. The blanket was suddenly yanked away, and Nicholas's angry roar came, "Are you deaf? Didn't you hear me tell you to make soup for Miranda? Why should I, a praetorian still in confinement, make soup for her? Charlotte retorted sarcastically. Is it because you brought her home today to disgust me? Or because you hope I die in childbirth so she can take my place? Nicholas looked at her in surprise, speechless for a few seconds before saying, "You've grown some guts, daring to talk back to me? I'll count to 3. If you're not gone by then, I will." Charlotte gritted her teeth against the pain in her abdomen and smashed the water cup against him. "Get out. This is the house your mother gifted me. You have no right to shout at me here." Chapter 8. Nicholas caught off guard. His white shirt was instantly soaked, and he couldn't help but erupt in anger, shouting, "Shrew, who gave you the courage to hit me? That day at the shopping mall, you caused Miranda to fall and nearly disfigure herself. Making you stew soup as an apology is already too lenient, and you still have the face to cause trouble with me? Indeed, a child without a mother's guidance is rude and unreasonable." Charlotte thought she was utterly disappointed in him. Little did she expect that at this moment, Nicholas would be so cruel as to use her deepest, most hidden pain against her. He forgot that he once held her hand and said, "Charlotte, don't cry. From now on, my mother will be your mother. Whatever you want to eat, I'll have her make it for you. I won't let you suffer even a little. Whoever dares to bully you and says you are a child without a mother's guidance, I will be the first to not let him off." Nicholas's vow is still fresh in her memory, yet today, he hurt her so, all to protect Miranda. The pain surged from Charlotte's feet to her head, tears falling like a broken faucet. Raging fury churned within her, burning every inch of her skin to the brink of bursting. She no longer wanted to be a soft pushover enduring his torment, retorting angrily, If you think I'm worthless, then go find Miranda. Why suddenly come back? I didn't ask you to come back and humiliate me." "Charlotte, I followed Nicholas back just to help him tidy up his clothes, and I had no intention of humiliating you." Miranda clutched her red nightgown, her voice as soft as a whisper. It was just a moment of weakness for him. "I couldn't help it." Saying this, she bowed to Charlotte. "I'm sorry, Charlotte, for causing this argument between you two. I've had the maid change all the sheets and pillowcases in your room to new ones, so it won't affect your future use. Stop pretending to be innocent with me." Charlotte shot back coldly, "If I count to 3 and you still don't leave, just wait for Mrs. Lynn to come personally and teach you some manners." As soon as those words were spoken, Nicholas instantly changed his expression. This woman has always been the favorite of her mother. If she is disturbed, today's events are unlikely to end well. Fuming, he held on to Miranda and left, saying, "You wait for me. This matter is not over." As soon as she finished speaking, Charlotte shut the door with a snap. Nicholas clutched Miranda and awkwardly returned to the car, his expression very grim. The servants not far away pointed at them and whispered, their expressions filled with astonishment. Madame finally stood her ground this time. Watching us from the side felt so satisfying. "Well done. What the gentleman did is truly excessive. He actually made a praetorian cook soup for his lover. If it were me, I would have the heart to kill him. The dog man deserves it." Exactly. Even a clay figurine has some temper. No matter how much she loves her husband, she can't endure such torment. The gentleman relies on his wife's love to act this way. Sooner or later, he will exhaust her affection, and then I wonder how he will regret it. Nicholas snorted coldly. The biggest regret of his life was yielding to his mother's wishes and marrying Charlotte. This woman is too scheming. When he woke up from his coma back then, it was Miranda who took care of him all along. Charlotte is inherently jealous and deliberately got a tattoo that is exactly the same as Miranda's on her chest. She even insists that she is the one who saved people from the fire. What's even more outrageous is that Charlotte brought a box of love letters claiming they were written by him. His eyes aren't blind. How could he not recognize his own handwriting? Those love letters were clearly written by him to Miranda. Miranda caught a glimpse of Nicholas with a stormy expression, radiating hostility, feigning persuasion. He said, "Nicholas, Charlotte loves you too much. She just can't accept what happened in her room today. She is still in her confinement period and can't handle emotional stress. You should be the bigger person and not hold it against her." "Miranda, you are too kind. Charlotte made things so difficult for you today, and you still speak up for her?" Nicholas held her tightly, his heart aching, and said angrily, "I will make her understand what the cost of angering me is. Someone, draft a divorce agreement immediately, and let Charlotte leave with nothing." Miranda nestled in his arms, her eyes filled with joy. Nicholas filed for divorce during Charlotte's confinement. She would surely agree, feeling utterly despondent. By then, Mrs. Lynn's position would be hers. Chapter 9. After Nicholas left, Charlotte tore all the wedding photos and albums into pieces and threw them in the trash. She packed her belongings into a suitcase. The nanny was in a flurry, saying she needed to call Mrs. Lynn to report the situation. Charlotte stopped her, saying, "Don't disturb the old lady. Her health has always been poor. But what about Mr. If you just take the child away like this?" The nanny said with red-rimmed eyes, "He has undergone 2 brain surgeries. He cannot be subjected to strong stimuli. He won't die." Charlotte said indifferently, "Please help me take down the lily embroidery in the living room. It was a wedding gift from my mother." She held the embroidery of the blooming lilies, tears blurring her vision. It was the year she was in 6th grade. Her mother, who had been her only companion, was diagnosed with late-stage lung cancer and had little time left. Mother, carrying her own heavy illness, secretly embroidered this lily picture. On her last day, Mother solemnly placed her hand into Nicholas's hand, gasping for her last breath, and said, "Good child, I entrust my Charlotte to you, hoping that you two can marry smoothly in the future and have 100 years of harmony. If you no longer like Charlotte in the future, let her go free, do not hurt her. Aunt, you can rest assured, I will take good care of Charlotte." The boy with cold brows and eyes said tearfully, "If I betray her, let me endure the pain of a gnawing heart day by day, live in loneliness until old age, and never have a good end." Mother's gray face lit up, her tone firm. "Nicholas, Auntie has always been good at reading people. I believe you will protect my Charlotte for a lifetime, and won't let her shed a single tear." "Mother, you have mistaken the person." Charlotte gently held the lily picture in her arms. Her voice choked as she said, "Nicholas no longer loves me, and I don't want him anymore." The fierce wind battered against the windowsill, as if mourning for her. Charlotte wiped away her tears, speaking clearly, "Mother, please don't worry. I have grown up. Even without relying on Nicholas, I can live well. I will live well with Domingo." "Madam, the president has sent someone to deliver a document to you." The lawyer who walked in bowed and said. He received it and saw it was a divorce agreement book. Nicholas not only refused to pay a single penny of child support, but also arrogantly demanded that she leave with nothing and return the jade wedding ring he had given her. Truly heartless to the extreme. Just as she was about to sign, she saw Miranda had sent a flurry of messages. "Charlotte, Nicholas splurged $10 million tonight to bid on a jade bracelet, and spent another $8 million on jade earrings for me. Do they look good? I remember you loved jade the most, but unfortunately, the box of jade he gave you before has all gone to me, leaving only the jade ring on your hand. This person is really domineering. The jade he gave me has piled up in 2 rooms, and he insists on giving me more. When I refused, he punished me and just asked for me 5 times again." Charlotte's expression changed, and she called her, "Miranda, if it weren't for you carving the same tattoo as mine and stealing the love letter he wrote to me, forging my handwriting to impersonate my position, would you have the affection you have today?" The woman on the phone laughed triumphantly, "Hee. If you want to blame someone, just blame him for not loving you deeply. He was easily deceived by me. I'm pregnant, Charlotte. This is my trump card for survival. And what good will it do you to give birth to his child even if you risk your life? In the end, you'll still be abandoned by him. How pitiful. If I had known this would happen, you might as well have died on the delivery bed, taking your son with you to leave behind less pain, wouldn't it? After all, the 2 of you being alive hasn't changed the fact that you were kicked out by him." Charlotte, trembling and unable to hold her phone, spat angrily, "Was it you who caused my difficult labor back then?" Miranda laughed heartily, "So what if it was? Anyway, Nicholas will only think you're trying to slander me. If I were you, I would have been too ashamed and furious to show my face, let alone occupy Mrs. Lynn's position." Charlotte coldly turned off the recorder and took a taxi to the riverbank. She handed the recorder and the divorce agreement book to the staff of the fake death agency, and, as per their request, took off her pink sneakers and placed them by the river. "Miss Bai, let me confirm with you once again. You have chosen the method of complete dissolution of the body for the fake death?" "I am sure," Charlotte said firmly. After saying that, she disappeared into the night with her suitcase. Just wait and see. The day she left was the beginning of Miranda's hellish life. It was also the beginning of Nicholas's descent into madness. Perhaps, this is also Nicholas's beginning of regaining his memory. Chapter 10. The next day is Charlotte's child's full moon banquet. After a night of revelry, Nicholas picked up his phone and unexpectedly found that Charlotte had neither calls nor messages, which felt unusually quiet. Thinking about the many rituals for today's full moon banquet, he dressed and left, only to be hugged around the waist by Miranda. "Nicholas, tonight you need to patiently stay home with Charlotte for a while, to reassure your mother. Don't sneak back to see me, okay? Let's take our time with our matters. Miranda, you always think of me like this. without considering how much you've suffered. Nicholas had been accompanying Miranda for a long time. When he arrived at the hotel, he found it bustling with guests whispering to each other, but there was no sign of Charlotte and the child. Nicholas, your usual mischief is one thing, but being late for the child's full moon banquet is simply unacceptable, Lynn's mother said, her face filled with anger. What did you do to upset my daughter-in-law? Her phone number has become a dead line. Dead line? Nicholas, after his surprise, was filled with rage. I gave her face, and she dares to be absent from the child's full moon banquet? Mother, this is most likely a scheme by Charlotte to provoke me. Wait until I find someone to deal with her properly. Make sure to tell her not to act foolishly. Lynn spoke earnestly in her native language. Nicholas repeatedly dialed Charlotte's number, but it was still a disconnected line. He called everyone she knew, but they all said they didn't know her or had never seen her. His mood grew increasingly irritable, commanding his assistant to search the entire city for her. Sir, there's no one at the maternity store that Madam frequently visits. Sir, there's no one at the flower shop that Madam likes to frequent either. Keep searching for her, Nicholas said, rubbing his throbbing head. Anyone who can provide useful information will receive a reward of 100,000. Waiting from morning until afternoon, Charlotte still remains missing. The guests could no longer sit still, surrounding Nicholas with a flurry of chatter. It shouldn't be a kidnapping, right? If it were, they would have called for ransom by now. Who knows? I heard that Mrs. Lynn had a huge fight with President Lynn yesterday. Did she, in a fit of anger, take the child and jump into the river to end her life? After all, it's common knowledge that she is not favored by President Lynn. Mrs. Lynn spent 8 years entangled with President Lynn before finally achieving her goal. She shouldn't be willing to commit suicide. The chatter of the crowd made Nicholas feel increasingly disturbed. He thought of the divorce agreement he had sent to his assistant last night, and his unease grew. This woman loves him dearly. What if she really did something drastic? No way, Nicholas tried to convince himself. Charlotte loves the child so much, she would never give up her life. Maybe she is secretly hiding at home, waiting for him to return. Nicholas ran out of the hotel and hurried home. He saw the moving company's truck parked at the villa's entrance, unloading things. Nicholas felt as if struck by lightning. He rushed over and grabbed the old man directing the move, saying, "This is my home. What are you doing? This house, your wife sold it to us yesterday." The old man trembled in fear at his cold tone. "I have the property deed." What? Nicholas turned pale as he snatched the property deed to glance at it, his gaze landing on the unfamiliar owner's name, and he staggered back 2 steps, murmuring to himself, "She actually sold the marital home? How is this possible? This was the dowry my mother gave to Charlotte. She said she would pass this villa down to future generations. You must have colluded with her to deceive me." Nicholas burst into the room, pushing aside those in his way, only to find that the lily painting hanging on the living room wall had vanished. All the family photos displayed around the house were gone. Even the rosewood box where she treasured her love letters, placed on the sideboard, was missing. "Charlotte, come out here." He opened every room searching for a familiar figure, shouting sternly, "I'll count to 3, and if you don't come out, don't blame me for being ruthless and letting them take our son away, so you'll never see him again." Chapter 11. The room was silent as a grave, with no one responding. His mind was in turmoil, his head pounding. He rushed out of the room and grabbed a passing servant, asking, "Where has the madam hidden? If you dare to hide a single word, I won't let you off." "The madam left with the child last night," the servant said tremblingly. "She even burned all the gifts and those love letters you gave her." "All burned?" Nicholas stepped back and said hoarsely, "She loves me dearly. There's no way she would burn the gifts I gave her or give up Mrs. Lynn's position. I understand now. This woman must have run to the house left by her mother, waiting for me to pick her up." Nicholas calmed his expression and gritted his teeth. "Humph, Charlotte, you can't manipulate me like this. I want to see how long you can stay out without coming home." He is 100% sure. At most 2 hours later, Charlotte will come back to apologize and bring gifts to make up. Nicholas waited in the banquet hall until dark, but Charlotte still hadn't arrived, making him a bit irritable. This woman has become more temperamental since having a child. How dare she leave him hanging for so long? When she comes back, he needs to set some rules. "Nicholas, hurry up and bring my daughter-in-law and precious grandson back. Do you hear me?" Lynn mother said with a stern face. "All the guests are waiting for them. Do you plan to embarrass our Lynn family?" Suddenly, everyone rushed forward to persuade. Nicholas impatiently said, all right, I got it. I'll go right now." He left quickly, seeing the door of the banquet hall open. A flustered assistant rushed in. What happened? Where is Charlotte? Nicholas shouted sternly. President, the madam has sold the house left by her mother. There is no one there. Nicholas's brain buzzed, and he took 2 steps back. Charlotte had relied on her mother since childhood, valuing that house more than her own life. Now she has actually sold the house. Is she completely cutting off everything in South City, planning never to return? You ungrateful child. What on earth did you do to make my daughter-in-law so angry that she left? Lynn's mother picked up her cane and struck him, saying angrily, Charlotte has just finished her confinement and is so weak. How could you argue with her and upset her? How could I have given birth to such an ungrateful son? Hurry up and go find someone. Mother, please don't be anxious. Charlotte is just upset with me for proposing divorce last night and is deliberately sulking. She loves the child so much, she would never do something foolish. Come here, spread the missing person notice throughout the city, and be sure to bring the person back to me. President, the wife's ID card and household registration have all been cancelled, and there is no information about any transportation. President, I found someone who has clues about his wife. The assistant hurriedly brought an elderly man forward, his tone excited. Nicholas, his pupils dilated, stepped forward and grabbed the old man's sleeve, whispering, Where did you see my wife? Where is she? The old man trembled as he raised the object in his hand and stammered, I was night fishing by the Way River at 12 o'clock last night and saw these things pressed under the stones. Signed by Charlotte. Chapter 12. Nicholas opened the agreement and saw at the bottom of the document the name Charlotte clearly signed. The woman's handwriting pierced through the paper, carrying the momentum of a resolute departure. His hands trembled, unable to hold the recording pen. After a few seconds, he clicked it open to hear a segment of conversation. Miranda, if you hadn't carved the same tattoo as me, stolen the love letter he wrote for me, and forged my handwriting to impersonate my place, would you have the affection you enjoy today? On the phone, Miranda's laughter was smug. Hee. If you want to blame someone, blame him for not loving you deeply enough. He was easily deceived by me. If I had known this would happen, you might as well have died on the delivery bed, taking your son with you to leave behind less pain, wouldn't it? Was it you who caused my difficult childbirth back then? Miranda laughed joyfully. So what? Anyway, if Nicholas knows, he will only think you are deliberately slandering me. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to occupy Mrs. Lynn's position any longer. At the end of the recording, Charlotte's voice was mournful. All right, as you wish, I will give up Mrs. Lynn's position for you. The voice recorder fell in response, and Nicholas collapsed helplessly to the ground, his expression sorrowful. How could this be happening? I will never be mistaken. Miranda is the one I truly love. Charlotte is just a counterfeit. She must be angry that I filed for divorce, so she deliberately synthesized this recording to slander me. Miranda, keep looking for her. Bring back this malicious woman. I want to punish her properly. President Lynn, your wife will not be coming back. The old man handed over something from his net bag. I found a pair of size 36 women's pink sneakers by the river last night. Please accept my condolences. Nicholas looked at the pink sneakers, and a scene flashed before him of the day before his wedding, when his mother forced him to accompany Charlotte shopping. Charlotte said that wearing the slippers bought by her beloved would lead her back home, but Nicholas ignored her completely at that time. Nicholas, you ungrateful child. Lynn wept bitterly. You drove the loving Charlotte to her death, forcing her to jump into the river with her son. My precious grandson was only a month old when he died. As her words fell, the entire room was in an uproar. I never expected that Charlotte had been a shameless devotee to awaken the memory of her beloved for 8 years, only to be schemed against by Miranda and meet the tragic end of jumping into the river with her child. Yes, Miranda seems so understanding, but I didn't expect her thoughts to be so meticulous and malicious. I told Nicholas long ago that the person he loved before his amnesia was Fong Chu-tang, and the love letter was written to Charlotte, but he only believes Miranda's nonsense and doesn't trust me at all. Charlotte gave up her career to return to her family in order to wake him up, but what she got in return was him and Miranda flying together, utterly detesting her. I truly feel it's not worth it for her. Charlotte almost lost her life giving birth to the child, and Nicholas didn't even say a word of concern. Instead, he wants to divorce her from Miranda's child. If I were her, I would have lost the motivation to live. No, Charlotte loves our son very much. She won't die. Nicholas collapsed on the ground, clutching his head in excruciating pain. In the last second before losing consciousness, he choked out, "Get me the best medicine. I want to know all the memories, all the truths." Chapter 13. Find Charlotte. Get me to find her. The birthday party ultimately ended with Charlotte and her son jumping into the river to commit suicide. Lynn was hospitalized due to a relapse of an old illness from her grief, while at the same time Nicholas was sent to the rescue room due to a ruptured blood vessel in his brain. Miranda, who rushed over, had been waiting for 3 days and nights until finally Nicholas awoke. He was just pinned against the wall by his throat. The man's expression was fierce, his voice hoarse. "I remember everything. It was you who took Charlotte's place. You vile woman who deliberately sowed discord and made me misunderstand her for 8 whole years, forcing her to jump into the river with my son and take her own life. I will make you know what it means to wish you were dead." Miranda, with her face turning purple from his grip and struggling to breathe, pushed him away and said, "Humph, don't you bear any responsibility for this matter? If you truly love Charlotte, how could you be so easily swayed by me? The one who truly brought her despair, the one who caused the death of her and her child, is you." Nicholas was devastated, kneeling on the ground with his hand over his chest. Countless voices echoed in his ears. "Nicholas, could you buy me this pair of pink sneakers? All my previous shoes were bought by you. They were comfortable and looked great. Nicholas, this is your favorite yam and pork rib soup. Try it and see if it can jog your memory." In an instant, the woman's sorrowful voice echoed from the recorder. "All right, as you wish. I will vacate Mrs. Lynn's position for you." He tightly held the recording pen, raising his tearful eyes and saying word by word, "Charlotte is very strong. She will never just die like this. Once I find someone, I will make you." This malicious woman properly apologized to her Nicholas, Charlotte, and Miranda's entanglement spread across the land overnight. Netizens angrily criticized Miranda for being scheming and malicious, leaving comments demanding that this person be kicked out of the entertainment industry. In an instant, all of Miranda's advertising endorsements and films were taken down. The Lynn family's stock plummeted, and shareholders were filled with grievances. Immediately Nicholas was labeled as a heartless man by netizens, receiving a torrent of criticism. The heated public shaming of the scumbag and the mistress lasted for a full month without losing momentum. This meant that Charlotte, far away in Bhutan, could see the news every day as she opened her phone. She didn't click on the news and simply scrolled past. She no longer wanted Nicholas, so she had no need to care about his life or death. Charlotte has now changed her name to Elena He. With her own cake shop and beloved son, she spends her days simply and peacefully, occasionally trading stocks online. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, a year has passed. Early in the morning, she took the baby for a checkup at the hospital and unexpectedly ran into the handsome Ren doctor in the elevator. The man stared at her with a fixed expression, suddenly reddening his eyes. "Mrs. Lynn, it's been a long time. How have you been? You have mistaken me. My name is Elena." After Charlotte finished speaking and prepared to leave, he blocked her path. "Even though you cut your hair short and removed the beauty mark under your right eye, I still recognize you, Mrs. Lynn. I was also in the same class as you and President Lynn. My name is Simon. Do you remember?" Chapter 14. "I don't know you." Charlotte quickly left. Dr. Wren followed her and said, "Don't worry, I won't tell President Lynn about our meeting. I just want to help you as a friend as much as I can." Charlotte remembered that she still owed him 20,000 yuan and stopped to say, "Please keep my identity confidential. Give me your bank account number, and I will transfer the money I owe you." Dr. Wren handed over his phone, smiling warmly. "It's fine. The money isn't urgent. Add me on WeChat. And if the baby feels unwell in the future, just give me a call." Charlotte happily added him on WeChat, and the man said, "The academic exchange I'm attending is in the afternoon. I have nothing to do in the morning, so I'll take you to the health checkup department." "Okay, thank you," Charlotte said. Ren doctor accompanied her throughout the child's checkup. He even specially caught a small car from the claw machine to give to the little one, making the child dance with joy. At the farewell, Ren doctor said with a serious expression, "Charlotte, I chose to study medicine because of you. Do you remember?" "Because of me?" Charlotte looked bewildered. "I really can't believe you. You even wrote on my arm back then. And now you've forgotten everything." Simon rolled up his sleeve, looking aggrieved. "Look for yourself." Charlotte looked up in surprise, her eyes wide open. One could see the 4 characters "to save lives and heal the wounded" boldly written on his right forearm, the handwriting elegant and strong. Indeed her handwriting. She gazed at these familiar characters and suddenly remembered something. At the age of 10 Charlotte was hospitalized with leukemia. She met a little boy who had broken his leg playing basketball. The little patient would come every day to cheer her up, sometimes bringing her butterflies he had caught. In a while, he ran over again to bring her steaming meat buns. This made Nicholas very angry. He wanted to hit the little patient he saw and wouldn't allow him to come close. On the day she finished her surgery, she was lying down to rest when a little patient climbed in through the window and handed her a box of butterflies. "Charlotte, I have to go now. I hope this box of butterflies brings you joy. When I grow up, I want to be a doctor and develop the most powerful painkillers so that you no longer have to suffer from pain." She praised him for his ambition and solemnly wrote the 4 characters to save lives and heal the wounded on the little boy's arm with a marker. The duty of a doctor is to save lives and heal the wounded. Simon gently touched the words on his arm and said in a hoarse voice, "Charlotte, I have always remembered what you said, so I worked hard to secure the top spot in my grade, hoping that when you see the results, you will think of me, and for the many butterflies I released for you. I hope you can see me." At this point, his expression darkened. "But you forgot me. Your eyes only see Nicholas." "I'm sorry." Charlotte looked apologetic. "Nicholas said the butterflies were released by him, and I believed it. The butterflies were clearly released by me." "That scheming guy," Simon said angrily. "On the day you came to watch my basketball game in freshman year, I was going to tell you about my childhood, but I was stopped by Nicholas because he took the blame for that fight, and I was forced to transfer schools, never having the chance to see you again." At this point, tears streamed down Simon's cheeks, his voice heavy with pain. "When I saw someone with the surname Lynn mistakenly identify Miranda as his girlfriend, I was so angry I could have beaten him up. But you have been infatuated, chasing after him for 8 years, waiting in vain for him to remember the past. If only I could have developed a drug to restore brain nerves sooner, you wouldn't have been so badly hurt by him, suffering so much injustice and losing so much weight. It's okay, all the pain will pass. I will be fine." Charlotte wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes and said softly, "Then in the future, if there's a chance, can I watch you play basketball again?" "Good." Simon laughed aloud. Chapter 15. From that day on, Simon came to Charlotte's cake shop every day. Gradually, the two talked about everything, growing closer and closer. The next day, Simon invited Charlotte to watch a basketball game. After the game, she ran up to bring water to the man, only to have him cover her eyes. "I have a surprise for you. Come with me." She was led up the stairs for a long time, and in her ears, she heard the man's deep voice, "All right, open your eyes." Charlotte opened her eyes to see a sky full of butterflies illuminating the entire sky. She raised her hand to catch the little sprite that fell onto her fingertips and said, "Simon, where did you find so many butterflies in this cold winter?" "My butterfly cultivation base." Simon leaned down to support her shoulder, emphasizing with a heavier tone, "This base was specially built for you, and it has been cultivated for 14 years. "So long?" Charlotte exclaimed in surprise. "Yes, from the moment I first saw you, I had someone start cultivating them for you." Simon looked at her with burning eyes. "Charlotte, that fleeting glance back then has been etched in my heart. You have taken root in my heart for 14 years, growing deep within me, and can never be pulled out. Give me a chance to take care of you, okay?" Charlotte was almost melted by his fiery gaze, lowering her head and saying, "I'm not ready to start a new relationship so soon. Could you give me some time?" "Of course, I'm willing to wait no matter how long it takes," Simon said. Since that day of confession, Simon has been coming to find Charlotte 3 times a day. Soon, Charlotte discovered that Simon was not only good at charming children but also a skilled businessman. After his packaging and transformation, Charlotte's cake shop flourished, gaining a reputation in just 6 months and opening 2 chain stores, becoming a well-known cake shop in the area. She counted the money until her hand cramped, her eyes curving with a smile as she said, "Simon, you are really amazing for turning my cake shop from loss to profit. I want to give you a thank you gift. What do you want?" "I want you to accompany me to the high school reunion the day after tomorrow." Simon with warm eyes tinged with unshakable affection. "Is that okay?" "Of course," Charlotte replied. The next day, the two took a flight back home. At the reunion dinner, as Charlotte and Simon entered the venue, they became the center of attention. The crowd gathered around, discussing animatedly. "Ren, are you looking for a substitute for your first love? She looks quite a bit like Charlotte." "Her name is Elena." Simon smiled and said, "I will cover all the expenses for today's gathering. Everyone enjoy yourselves." As soon as the words were spoken, the atmosphere on site became even more lively. Poor Ren has secretly loved Charlotte for 14 years without ever confessing, and now his beloved has died, leaving him to find a substitute to soothe his longing. The fight he had with Nicholas over Charlotte was truly earth-shattering. Nicholas received a disciplinary action, and he was forced to transfer schools. Who would have thought that after all those years of waiting, it would ultimately come to nothing? It's enough to make anyone cry. Ren spent 3 whole years on the butterfly for Charlotte. It was truly so heartfelt and romantic. I was a fan of their couple back then, but unfortunately, Nicholas swooped in and stole her away. Elena, Simon is a wealthy and handsome second-generation official. If you follow him, you will live a life of luxury. Charlotte smiled faintly in response. During the meal, she went out to the restroom and encountered the cold-faced Nicholas in the corridor. Chapter 16. Charlotte felt a sinking sensation in her heart. As she turned to leave, she was blocked by Nicholas. His large hand gripped her shoulder tightly, his eyes and brows filled with ecstasy, his lips trembling violently as he struggled to speak. After a long time, he stammered, "Charlotte, you're not dead? So you're really not dead?" The man, overjoyed, lifted her up, tears streaming down his face. "I thought you and the child had drowned and perished, leaving no trace behind. I can't believe you're both alive. For the past 2 years, I've donated money to build a temple, so they could chant scriptures day and night for you and the child, praying for your well-being. I never expected it would actually work. Thank you, Bodhisattva, for your mercy. Thank you, Heaven, for allowing me to see you again. Let go of me." Charlotte avoided his passionate kiss and said, "I'm not your deceased wife. My name is Elena, and I'm Simon's girlfriend." "It's clearly you, Charlotte." Nicholas joyfully caressed her cheek, tears streaming down his face. "What a heartless woman you are, cutting off the long hair you've kept for 5 years just to avoid me, and even removing the beauty mark under your right eye, huh? Do you have any idea how much I've missed you in these 2 years since you left?" He leaned down and kissed her cherry lips, tears falling onto the little woman's cheek. "Charlotte, I've missed you so much I'm almost going crazy. There were many times I got drunk and saw you coming to take me home, only to wake up and find my arms empty. You were gone." Charlotte struggled desperately but was held even tighter by him. In an instant, a white figure rushed over and knocked Nicholas to the ground. "Charlotte and the child have long been driven to death by you. This is my girlfriend Elena. Stop going crazy and get lost." Nicholas clutched his abdomen and struggled to stand, his gaze intense. "Don't fool me. This is my Charlotte. She picks at her nails when she's anxious and likes to bite when she's angry. How could she be another woman? The one who should roll away is you. She is my legally wedded wife. What are you daydreaming about here, huh?" Simon's face darkened as he raised his hand and threw another punch. "Charlotte signed the divorce agreement before she died. She took the child and left you. Do you understand? If you harass my girlfriend again, I will hit you every time I see you." "This is my Charlotte." Nicholas, blocked from the crowd, said anxiously, "I'm sorry Charlotte. After I lost my memory, I mistakenly took Miranda for you and did many wrong things. I will make it up to you in the future. Will you come back to me?" Charlotte completely treated him as heir, linking Simon's arm and saying, "Simon, let's go." The two returned to the private room, and everyone urged to play games. The loser must complete a challenge with their teammate. Charlotte accidentally lost and needed to challenge Simon to a cookie-eating game. As their bodies just touched, they were suddenly pulled apart by a great force. She was pulled off balance, and in surprise, she looked up to see that the person pulling her away was the pained-looking Nicholas. The man trembled all over as he held her tightly in his arms, his voice shaking as he said, "Charlotte, you are mine, and you are not allowed to kiss other men. I brought that bitch Miranda here. Do whatever you want to punish her." Charlotte looked down, seeing the woman in black lying on the ground, her face pale and her hair turned much whiter, with a long 10-centimeter scar on her right cheek that was terrifying to behold. "Charlotte, I was wrong to you back then," Miranda cried with tears streaming down her face. "You can hit me or scold me. Just please let Nicholas be merciful and let me see my son. I haven't seen the child for 2 years, and I dream every night of him crying and looking for me. I'm really going crazy." Charlotte looked at her former high school roommate, lost in thought. After waiting in vain for 8 years Nicholas to regain his memory, she truly hated Miranda. Hate that this woman meticulously plotted to take her place. Hate that she stirs up trouble in front of Nicholas, making him loathe her even more. But now, facing Miranda again, Charlotte finds her heart is calm, as if she were looking at a stranger. So Miranda's tears and pleas hold no meaning for her. "Charlotte, I have already sent someone to bring back the box of jade that Miranda took from you. Her son is locked away in a secret place. She will never see her child in this lifetime." Nicholas spoke with fiery eyes, gritting his teeth. "You can tell me how you want to punish her, and I will make it happen. I am not your wife, nor do I care how you punish Miranda." Charlotte cold as ice. "President Lin, please have some self-respect and stop entangling with me, or I will call the police." "You?" Nicholas looked at her with a sorrowful expression, lowering his head like a child who had done something wrong. His voice choked. "Charlotte, You said that wearing the shoes given by a loved one would help you find your way home and recover everything you lost. I have been wearing the gray sneakers you bought for 3 years, even sleeping in them. I really regret misunderstanding you back then and making you sad. Can you bring Domingo home with me? I am willing to spend a lifetime atoning for my sins. I really am not your wife. Charlotte frowned in displeasure, quickly walking over to Simon and hugging his waist, saying, Simon, this person is so scary, always bothering me. Please take me away. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Simon picked up the little woman and strode away. Nicholas relentlessly pursued, raising the wedding ring in his hand, saying, Charlotte, the jade wedding ring you discarded has been repaired. Can you take a look? Please don't abandon me. Don't leave me. Charlotte buried her head in Simon's arms, not looking up. Faintly, she could hear the bodyguards blocking Nicholas. As the two groups argued incessantly, she tightly grasped Simon's sleeve, her expression weary. Tomorrow, let's go back to Bhutan? I don't want to see him. Okay, I'll do as you say, Simon said. When she returned home in the evening, Charlotte lay on the sofa, exhausted. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, she saw the tall figure of Nicholas standing under the street light below. The man stood in the rain without an umbrella, letting the water soak his clothes, repeatedly calling her name. She walked over and pulled the curtains, ignoring him. In a moment, Charlotte's phone was bombarded by calls from Nicholas. She blocked his number, removed the SIM card, and covered herself with the blanket to sleep. Charlotte woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of thunder outside. A wave of fear surged in her heart, waking her up as she curled up into a ball, only to be embraced by a shadow that rushed into the room. Don't be afraid, Charlotte, I'm here. Suddenly hearing Nicholas's voice, she was jolted awake, pushing him away and saying, What are you doing in my house? Get out. I am not your wife. Stop bothering me. Nicholas held her tightly, not letting go for a second. Charlotte, I understand that you hate me and don't want to acknowledge me, but I will no longer mistake anyone else for you. You are my Charlotte, and even if you turn to ashes, I will still recognize you. President Lin, please face reality and stop dreaming. Charlotte looked at him, her gaze cold. Your wife jumped into the river with a child 2 years ago. I am not her. I just happen to look like her. Look like her? Nicholas raised his hand and tore open Charlotte's nightgown, pointing to the blue birthmark on her inner thigh. Then tell me, what is this? At this point, do you really think you can still deceive me? Chapter 17. Charlotte, embarrassed and flustered, raised her hand to cover her exposed thigh and said, You bastard, get out. Dream on. Nicholas leaned down and kissed her lips. You are my woman, and I will never allow you to see another man, let alone bring him home. She struggled desperately to avoid his affection, making too much noise and waking the baby in the crib. The little guy kicked his legs and cried heart-wrenchingly, Domingo. Charlotte's expression changed drastically, and she curled her legs to kick Nicholas hard. The moment the man felt pain and released her, she grabbed the child in the crib and rushed out the door, shouting, Simon, save me quickly. Simon, who was in the guest room on the first floor, opened the door and shielded her behind him, glaring at the relentless Nicholas and shouted, Are you done yet? Sneaking into my home at night to harass my woman? Get lost quickly, or I'll call your mother to come and take you away personally. Nicholas clenched his fists and left in silence. At the door, he paused again and looked at Charlotte. Charlotte, I will never allow you to be with him, unless I am dead. After Nicholas left, she softly lulled the child to sleep and said to Simon, Simon, Nicholas won't give up until he achieves his goal. Why don't we get engaged first? With the supervision of our online friends. Even if he tries to cling to me, he won't dare to go too far. Okay, I am willing to be your shield, no matter how long it takes. Simon looked at her with deep concern. Your body has finally recovered, and I don't want you to be unable to sleep because of him. The next day, Charlotte woke up to find that she and Nicholas had made it to the trending news. He waved his hand grandly and donated 3 buildings to his alma mater in her name. She is still announcing on Weibo that she plans to turn the house left by her mother into a lily garden. Facing the cameras, Nicholas had a joyful expression at the corners of his eyes and brows. My wife and son are not dead. They are still alive. I want to do everything I can to save our marriage. I ask netizens to cheer for me. My plan is to win them back in 100 days and celebrate the new year as a family. She scoffed as she put down her phone. Where did he get the confidence to think he could change his mind? She never longs for what she has discarded, nor does she pick it up. Charlotte, it's time to eat. Simon placed the steamed egg he had prepared on the table, his expression hesitant. Just now Nicholas made your photo public, and netizens are speculating that you are the deceased Charlotte. How do you plan to respond to this? Charlotte is already dead. I am Elena. Charlotte walked over, took his hand for a photo, logged onto Weibo, and posted, "President Lin has mistaken me. I am not his wife Charlotte. My name is Elena, and this is my fiancé Simon." In an instant, Simon retweeted this Weibo post and wrote, "Please President Lin show some respect and stop harassing my fiancé Elena." In the next moment Simon's Weibo was shared and commented on by Nicholas, "Hehe, you keep arguing that Elena is not my wife, so why is her son a miniature version of me?" Immediately after, Nicholas posted a report on Weibo, surname Ren. "Here is the paternity test report between me and Domingo. What else do you have to say?" Charlotte was shocked and angry, saying, "Simon, when did he steal the child's hair for the test?" Simon got up and rummaged through the crib, his tone heavy. "This cunning scoundrel actually took the child's hat last night amidst the chaos. Now your identity can't be hidden. Even if my identity is exposed, it won't change my decision to refuse remarriage." Charlotte quickly typed another message, "Nicholas, Simon, I'm marrying him for sure. You are only worthy of a lonely old age." Chapter 18. Charlotte's counterattack sparked a new wave of public opinion. Major media outlets rushed to publish photos of Nicholas collapsing and being taken to the rescue room. Netizens exploded with comments. "Damn, where did this Simon come from? How dare he compete with President Lin for someone? Is he tired of living? TSK. Although it was quite hateful that President Lin mistook Miranda for his girlfriend before, but Charlotte directly announcing her engagement and slapping President Lin in the face is too ruthless, right? You have to know that during the 2 years she was gone, President Lin was heartbroken and drank himself to tears every night. So pitiful. After President Lin regained his memory, he resolutely refused to believe that his Charlotte was dead, and he was almost driven mad searching the world for her. Wherever he went, he wore the pair of shoes that Charlotte had given him, and even though the soles were worn out, he couldn't bear to change them. Such deep affection and humility are also quite painful. Because Charlotte loves lilies, President Lin specifically established the Lily Foundation to help amnesiacs regain their memories and reunite with their loved ones. This great love is truly rare and precious. Oh my, Charlotte once loved Nicholas so much. For 8 whole years, she was willing to bear the label of a sycophant, exhausting every means to help him regain his memory. It seems she has been deeply hurt by President Lin and has no intention of turning back. Heavens, Simon is a medical genius. He is the prized student of the renowned Professor Ling, a medical mogul. At not even 30 years old, he is already the chief physician at a top-tier hospital, comes from a wealthy family, and is quite handsome. Charlotte was taken aback and replied to the comment, "My Ren doctor is not only handsome but also great at basketball." The comment section of the news instantly erupted with screams. "Oh my, the main character has come out to respond to me. It seems Charlotte really likes Ren doctor. Something feels off. How could Ren doctor, who comes from a wealthy family and is a golden bachelor, like a divorced woman with a child? They must have some story." Enthusiastic netizens quickly dug up that they graduated in the same class and even found photos of her attending Simon's basketball game. It was the moment when Simon scored and looked at Charlotte. The afterglow of the sunset bathed the big boy, giving him a faint layer of golden light. She showed the photo to the man, her tone cheerful. "Simon, look at this photo. The atmosphere of us gazing at each other from afar is quite nice." It looks good." Simon raised his hand to tousle her hair, jokingly saying, "You really look like the main characters in a story." Charlotte gently stroked the photo of the boy surrounded by golden light, softly saying, "Actually, on the day I had a severe hemorrhage during childbirth, when I heard Nicholas say to make room for Miranda, I was so desperate that I lost all will to survive. It was hearing you constantly calling my name in my ear that pulled me back from the brink of death." She held Simon's hand, her tone serious. "Simon, you are my salvation and the confidence I need to step into a new life. I am very happy to recognize, know, and accompany you." The two gazed at each other in silence. The man's dark eyes gradually filled with tears as he gently held her in his arms. His voice choked, "Charlotte, that day I almost lost you, and every time I think about it He struggled to suppress the pain in his heart, displaying a radiant smile as he said, "It turns out that healing the sick and saving lives has such great merit, allowing me to save the one I love and be with her day and night, never to part again. I am very happy to finally wait for the moon to set and the lilies to bloom." Charlotte raised her arm, wiped away the tears at the corner of his eye, and said, "All right, no more sadness. You can do something a fiancé should do." The man's warm kiss descended, precious and gentle. She closed her eyes, intoxicated by it, not wanting to pull away. The two were locked in a passionate kiss. When the urgent ringing of the phone interrupted them, Charlotte looked at the caller ID. her expression changing slightly, and answered, "Mrs. Lin, how can I help you?" Chapter 19. Mrs. Lin wept softly, saying, "Auntie wants to ask you to talk to Nicholas. He just got out of the hospital and has gone drinking again, to the point of vomiting blood. Yet he refuses to stop. No one can persuade him. If I had any way to help, I wouldn't bother you. I'm truly at my wit's end." Charlotte thought of Lin's mother having heart disease, and she simply couldn't stand by idly. She comforted her, saying, "Auntie, don't worry, I'll go find him right away. But there's one thing I must say up front, I will never remarry him in this lifetime. And I ask you to persuade him to let go of his obsession and stop entangling himself with me. Everyone keeps to themselves and lives a quiet life. I will advise him." "Don't worry," Lin cheerfully said in her native language, "I will send you the location right away." Charlotte hurriedly arrived at the Golden Bar's private room. I see a crowd of people surrounding Nicholas trying to persuade him. The man's black shirt was open, his face flushed from drinking, and his right hand was wrapped in thick gauze. Upon seeing her, everyone stood up to greet her. "Charlotte, you finally made it. Quickly persuade Nicholas to stop drinking. He just had stomach tumor surgery and can't consume alcohol. If he keeps this up, it could be life-threatening." "Charlotte, Nicholas has always listened to you the most. Please talk to him and make him understand that he shouldn't joke with his health. Lin, the lady, has heart disease and can't handle any stress." Charlotte stopped a meter away from the man, her tone indifferent. "Nicholas, stop drinking and go home." The man, with drunken eyes filled with joy, rushed forward wanting to touch her face, but his hand stopped in midair, and he lowered his head in frustration. "I dreamed again, dreaming that Charlotte came to take me home. She is angry with me and is ignoring me. It's impossible for her to come and take me home. It's not a dream. Nicholas, Charlotte really came to find you." Nicholas's brother patted him on the shoulder. "Stop messing around. Just go with her." "Charlotte came to find me?" Nicholas's tone was filled with joy and disbelief. He stumbled over to Charlotte, carefully recognizing her for a long time. He carefully held the rosewood box with both hands and handed it to her, speaking cautiously, "Charlotte, I have rewritten all 238 love letters that you burned, and every detail is exactly the same as the original. Can you take a look?" Charlotte stood still. His expression darkened for 2 seconds. Then he suddenly raised his hand to unbutton his shirt and said, "Charlotte, I carved this sentence on my chest, so I will never forget you again. Will you give me a chance to make amends?" She looked up and saw the man's chest adorned with 4 words in red paint, "My love Charlotte." The scarlet letters, embedded in the blooming lilies, were particularly dazzling, burning Charlotte's eyes. In a daze, it seemed she could hear countless voices rising. "My love Charlotte, New Year's Eve without you is so lonely and cold. Get me a cup of sweet peach oolong milk tea, quickly. My love Charlotte, I love watching you blush from my kisses, chasing me with a book in hand. It's so adorable I want to devour you. My love Charlotte, Merry Christmas. Remember to wear matching couple watches with me to school today. If you forget again, I'll strangle you. My love Charlotte, you don't need to worry about your poor studies affecting your future job prospects. I will work hard to support you for the rest of your life. Do you know that? Don't cry. When you cry, my heart shatters." Countless words merged together, becoming the characters etched in his heart. She turned her face away and said word by word, "Nicholas, it's all too late. My love for you has long been exhausted. It can't come back." Chapter 20. Feelings can be cultivated, Nicholas argued passionately. "As long as I treat you well with all my might, I can definitely awaken all your love for me." Charlotte shook her head. "Nicholas, I waited for you for 8 years. During these 8 years, I gave you countless opportunities, but you never gave me a shred of trust, nor did you believe a single word I said. Even when I was giving birth and bleeding heavily, you hoped I would die to make room for someone else." Charlotte interrupted his explanation. "You say you love me, but after your memory loss, you have no physical memory of me and were easily swayed by others. Is that what you call loving me?" "Charlotte, I can explain this to you," Nicholas said urgently. "I only remembered one thing after taking the medication to restore my brain nerves. When I rushed into the fire to save you and fell into a coma, I had a dream where I followed a group of people to the other side of a cliff and met an old man. He said, 'The price I must pay to survive is to lose all memories of you. I can't bear to leave you alone in this world. So," Charlotte let out a cold laugh and said, "To coax me back, you can say such absurd things? It's simply unreasonable." She turned and left, leaving the man with a resolute back. "Nicholas, not everything in this world can be changed by you. Just as the sun will never rise in the west, the sea will never flow backward, and I will never forgive you or remarry you. You are neither a good husband nor a good father. The only way to make amends is to be a good son. From now on, don't drink so that your mother won't worry about you. Everything I said is true, Charlotte. I didn't lie to you. Nicholas caught up and blocked her, saying, I really had that dream. I swear. I don't believe a word you say. Charlotte walked over to her Simon and said, let's go. You can't leave. Nicholas spread his arms to block the car, his expression cold and stern. Charlotte, if you insist on leaving with him, then you'll have to run over my body. Charlotte helplessly got out of the car and gently advised, can you be a little more mature and stop forcing me? I no longer love you. Your insistence is meaningless. It's meaningful. As long as you give me a chance, we can reconcile like before. Nicholas took off the Buddha beads he was wearing and firmly said to her, I brought back the Buddha beads I've worn since childhood. Will you wear them and come home with me? The lilies I planted for you have bloomed. You can see them by opening the bedroom window. Their fragrance is enchanting and beautiful. She still needs to go home to put her son to sleep. She doesn't have time to listen to your nagging. Simon stood in front of Charlotte and pushed the Buddha beads back, saying, Nicholas, one must have self-awareness. The person she loves now is me, not you. I beg you, Nicholas. Charlotte choked with emotion. Domingo is still waiting for me to come home. If I return late, the child will cry all night long. Nicholas, heart-aching, stepped aside to make way, but held on to the corner of her clothes, refusing to let go. Charlotte, that dream was real. I didn't lie to you. I don't believe it. Charlotte didn't look at him once and turned to get into the car. He watched the figures embracing in the departing car, clutching his chest and kneeling down in tears. In the 8 years of amnesia, he never gave Charlotte a shred of trust, and today he tasted the bitter fruit. It turns out that not being trusted by the one you love is so painful. It shatters him into a million pieces, blood and flesh in disarray. He struggled to stand up, leaning on the bike, tightly pressing his lips and gritting his teeth. There must be a way to win back Charlotte. He will never give up. Chapter 21. Feelings can be cultivated, Nicholas argued passionately. As long as I treat you well with all my might, I can definitely awaken all your love for me. Charlotte shook her head. Nicholas, I waited for you for 8 years. During these 8 years, I gave you countless opportunities, but you never gave me a shred of trust, nor did you believe a single word I said. Even when I was giving birth and bleeding heavily, you hoped I would die to make room for someone else. Charlotte, Charlotte interrupted his explanation. You say you love me, but after your memory loss, you have no physical memory of me and were easily swayed by others. Is that what you call loving me? Charlotte, I can explain this to you, Nicholas said urgently. I only remembered one thing after taking the medication to restore my brain nerves. When I rushed into the fire to save you and fell into a coma, I had a dream where I followed a group of people to the other side of a cliff and met an old man. He said, the price I must pay to survive is to lose all memories of you. I can't bear to leave you alone in this world. So, Charlotte let out a cold laugh and said, to coax me back, you can say such absurd things? It's simply unreasonable. She turned and left, leaving the man with a resolute back. Nicholas, not everything in this world can be changed by you. Just as the sun will never rise in the west, the sea will never flow backward, and I will never forgive you or remarry you. You are neither a good husband nor a good father. The only way to make amends is to be a good son. From now on, don't drink so that your mother won't worry about you. Everything I said is true. Charlotte, I didn't lie to you. Nicholas caught up and blocked her, saying, I really had that dream. I swear. I don't believe a word you say. Charlotte walked over to her Simon and said, let's go. You can't leave. Nicholas spread his arms to block the car, his expression cold and stern. Charlotte, if you insist on leaving with him, then you'll have to run over my body. Charlotte helplessly got out of the car and gently advised, can you be a little more mature and stop forcing me? I no longer love you. Your insistence is meaningless. It's meaningful. As long as you give me a chance, we can reconcile like before. Nicholas took off the Buddha beads he was wearing and firmly said to her, I brought back the Buddha beads I've worn since childhood. Will you wear them and come home with me? The lilies I planted for you have bloomed. You can see them by opening the bedroom window. Their fragrance is enchanting and beautiful. She still needs to go home to put her son to sleep. She doesn't have time to listen to your nagging. Simon stood in front of Charlotte and pushed the Buddha beads back, saying, Nicholas, one must have self-awareness. The person she loves now is me, not you. I beg you, Nicholas. Charlotte choked with emotion. Domingo is still waiting for me to come home. If I return late, the child will cry all night long. Nicholas, heart-aching, stepped aside to make way, but held on to the corner of her clothes, refusing to let go. Charlotte, that dream was real. I didn't lie to you. I don't believe it. Charlotte didn't look at him once and turned to get into the car. He watched the figures embracing in the departing car, clutching his chest and kneeling down in tears. In the 8 years of amnesia, he never gave Charlotte a shred of trust, and today he tasted the bitter fruit. It turns out that not being trusted by the one you love is so painful. It shatters him into a million pieces, blood and flesh in disarray. He struggled to stand up, leaning on the bike, tightly pressing his lips and gritting his teeth. There must be a way to win back Charlotte. He will never give up. Chapter 22. Soon it was Charlotte's birthday, and early in the morning, he was bombarded by calls from Miranda, whom he directly blocked. Then Miranda showed up at her residence, bringing a pile of gifts to seek an audience. She refused all of it. In the evening, Charlotte went to the birthday party with Simon, and at the entrance of the venue, she was stopped by Miranda. The woman said anxiously, "Charlotte, the dream that Nicholas mentioned must be true, because I was right there when he finished his brain surgery and fell into a coma. I heard him mumbling a lot of nonsense while calling your name. Will you attend the birthday party he organized for you? Give him a chance for a fresh start." No, Charlotte didn't want to respond to her, her expression indifferent. "I don't believe in such absurd things, nor will I reconcile with him. Step aside and don't block the way." Miranda pleaded desperately. She said her son had been running a high fever for days and was very ill, and if Charlotte didn't go to the party tonight, that's your own business. It has nothing to do with me. Charlotte said coldly, "You should have thought about today when you meticulously plotted to take my place. I regret it." "Charlotte," Miranda cried, tears streaming down her face, "I've had surgery and can no longer bear children. Luis is my only child. He has heart disease and can't handle stress. Boo-hoo." Simon waved his hand, and countless bodyguards stepped forward to drag Miranda away. The woman cried out heartbreakingly, "Charlotte, if anything happens to my son, I won't spare your son, just wait for it." Charlotte felt her heart race as the man tightly held her hand. Now she is like a rat in the street, scorned by everyone, unable to stir up any waves. "Don't worry." Charlotte suppressed the unease that flashed through her mind and nodded. During the banquet Nicholas kept calling her. She did not answer. "Charlotte, Nicholas has been waiting for you downstairs for several hours. Do you think you should go down for a bit?" Simon walked over and said, "I heard he hasn't slept for a whole week preparing a birthday gift for you." "I don't care for the gift he gives," Charlotte said calmly. "Let's go cut the cake." After the banquet, Charlotte took a car home. Seeing Nicholas standing by the car and not leaving, with a device behind him, she frowned and said impatiently, "Are you done yet? I don't want to accept your birthday gift." "Charlotte, this gift is related to your mother. You will definitely like it." Nicholas handed her a pair of glasses. "Put them on and see." "Charlotte, this birthday gift is quite shocking. You should try it," Simon echoed. Charlotte couldn't resist their repeated persuasion, and when she put on the glasses, she was stunned. The person on the video ahead was unexpectedly his mother. She still looked gentle and beautiful as she did in life, wearing a lily-patterned cheapao. Raising her arm and saying, "Charlotte, come here for a hug from mommy," she involuntarily walked over and leaned on her mother's shoulder, clearly feeling her mother's warm body and the scent of lilies clinging to her clothes. Charlotte greedily absorbed the fragrance, becoming intoxicated until the person she held gradually turned into a shadow of emptiness. "Charlotte, this is an experiential project I created using AI technology. Do you like this gift?" Nicholas stared into her eyes and said cautiously, "If you think your mother's voice and demeanor are not realistic enough, I can revise it again." Charlotte seemed to awaken from a dream, wiping away the tears at the corners of her eyes, and said, "It's good. How much did you spend on this project? I'll transfer you the money." "Charlotte," Nicholas looked at her, his expression pained, "I came to give you a gift, not to discuss business with you. After more than 10 years of our relationship, why do you have to be so distant and hurt me like this?" Charlotte looked up at him, her eyes devoid of any emotion. "I have no feelings to discuss with President Lin. All we can talk about is business. Is 5 million enough? If the price is right, we can sign the contract now, and I'll take the equipment tonight." Nicholas was so angry that he trembled all over, clutching his chest as he fell to the ground. In the last second before losing consciousness, he tightly grasped Charlotte's sleeve, tears streaming down his cheeks. "Charlotte, I will wait for you to change your mind and come back to me. Even if it takes until we are old and gray, I will wait for you." Chapter 23. Charlotte's clothes were gripped too tightly by him, and several people couldn't pull them apart. She couldn't bear to ruin the dress her mother made for her while she was alive, so she had no choice but to follow into the rescue room. The emergency department doctor urgently performed resuscitation on Nicholas, while the assistants chattered around. "Elena, President Lin fainted from exhaustion while developing a birthday gift for you. He was rescued once the day before yesterday, and now he's here for resuscitation again. At this rate, his body might not be able to take it. Mrs. Lin is so good to you. How can you torment her beloved son and still have a clear conscience? One must learn to be grateful. President Lin has already shown enough sincerity to win you back. Why are you so heartless and unwilling to give him a chance? You clearly loved him so much before, and besides, you already have a child. How pitiful it is for a child to be without a father. The child has a father. Charlotte interrupted their discussion, saying, as for my matters, I have my own ideas. You need not advise me. The crowd exchanged glances and fell silent. Before long, Nicholas awoke softly. He rested his head on Charlotte's arm, his voice weak. Charlotte, don't go. Will you stay with me for 5 minutes? In the 2 years you were gone, I couldn't sleep at all. I always heard you walking around the house. Sometimes I heard you watering the flowers. Sometimes I heard you busy in the kitchen. But every time I ran downstairs to find you, I could never find you. In the past, hearing him say that would have broken Charlotte's heart. At this moment, she felt no waves in her heart. It turns out that when you love someone, you feel pain for them and can't bear to see them cry. When there is no love, she only feels that Nicholas's tears are a heavy burden, making her want to distance herself. She pushed him away, her tone cold. I need to go home and soothe Domingo to sleep. Let go of me. Your son needs you. And I need you too. Nicholas looked down, feeling wronged, like an abandoned puppy. Charlotte, without your love, I really can't go on. Will you come back? Nicholas, if you keep this up, I will be angry. Charlotte's tone was icy. Domingo was only born weighing 4.5 pounds. Do you know how weak his body is? He can't live without me. Then will you come see me again tomorrow? Just for 1 minute. Nicholas took coins out of his wallet, looking at her with longing. You promised me before that I could use it to make 3 wishes. I've used 1, so I have 2 left. Just because it was true before doesn't mean it is now. Charlotte slowly pulled her sleeve from his hand and walked away briskly. She hurried out of the emergency building, seeing Domingo crying like a baby in Simon's arms. She opened her arms and stretched her body, wanting to rush into her embrace. She took the child in her hands, gently patting his back and saying, "Don't cry, my dear, mommy is here." The child babbled a long string of complaints. Charlotte, heartbroken, shed tears and kissed the child's tender little face several times, saying, "You're such a little guy, so clingy to mommy. What will you do in the future? You'll be laughed at. Sons are all attached to their mothers. So am I." Simon smiled and said, "Let's go home." Wait a minute. A voice came from not far away. Charlotte looked up. She saw Nicholas hurriedly pushing his wheelchair over. The buttons of the man's hospital gown were haphazardly fastened, and the 4 drip that had been pulled out hung down, dripping water. He struggled to lift the yellow car in his hand for the child to see, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth as he said, "Domingo, I'm your dad. I designed a bumblebee car just for you. Take it and play with it." The little guy's cries suddenly stopped, his round eyes wide as he gazed at the car, a look of wonder flashing in his eyes. "Domingo, come let daddy hold you." Nicholas's dark eyes were filled with joy as he opened his arms, his voice tinged with a sob. "Daddy, I am really a jerk. You are already 2 years old, and I have never held you. In the future, I will take you to kindergarten, bring you to play soccer, and raise you to be the excellent heir of our Lin family." Chapter 24. What face do you have to hold my son? Charlotte raised her hand to block his view of Domingo, her expression sorrowful. Back then, when Domingo was sick with a fever during the confinement period and it was pouring rain, I begged you to take me and our son to the hospital for treatment. Did you take us? The child needs money for treatment, yet you stopped all the bank cards you gave me. Did you even answer when I called you? Nicholas was left speechless by her retort, lowering his gaze and saying, "I'm sorry, Charlotte. At that time I truly believed Miranda was the one." Nicholas, not everything can be resolved with a simple apology. Charlotte's tone was pained. "I will never forget this in my life. Because of your indifference and coldness, my Domingo almost became a vegetable. So you have no face to ask me for a divorce, and you have even less face to appear in front of our son, enjoying the happiness of father-son time." She turned and left, not looking back no matter how Nicholas called out. Nicholas gripped the wheelchair tightly, tears falling in large drops onto the yellow toy car. In a daze, he saw Domingo in the blue swaddle in the elevator, reaching out his little hand to grasp his sleeve. Milk dribbled from the child's mouth onto the back of his hand. The little guy's big, dark eyes looked at him with curiosity. That was his biological son, flowing with his blood, the child who had just recovered from a fever that had been difficult to control. What the hell has this bastard done? He ruthlessly shrugged off the child's touch and said, "What do you want? How disgusting." Domingo couldn't understand this sentence, but could feel his own disdain. His small face wrinkled in grievance as he buried himself in Charlotte's arms, crying like a little child, and he walked away holding Miranda's child, without a word of comfort, never looking back at Domingo again. It was he who personally destroyed the child's desire to get close. His indifference severed all ties between father and son. The child's crisp laughter interrupted Nicholas's thoughts. Nicholas looked in the direction of the sound and saw Simon holding a yellow toy car, playing with Domingo. The child giggled and jumped into his arms, planting a kiss on the man's face. Simon was beaming, holding the child's arms and tossing him into the air. "Do you like playing like this, Domingo?" The little guy nodded vigorously, his round face filled with joy. "Fly. I want to fly more." "Okay, Daddy will take you flying." "Simon, hold him steady, don't drop the child." Charlotte quickly followed, twisting open the thermos and said, "Sweetheart, quickly drink a sip of the strawberry juice you like." "Mommy, I can fly." Domingo spread his arms and excitedly gestured to her. "Yes, you fly very well." Charlotte gave a thumbs up in praise. This scene made Nicholas feel as if his heart was being cut like a knife. He regretfully pounded his head, crying uncontrollably. If only he could go back to the past, he would definitely take good care of Charlotte and not make her cry during her confinement. He will definitely learn how to take care of children and cultivate the father-son relationship, but it is all too late now. Now Charlotte can no longer see him, only the surname ring. Nicholas shook as he pulled out the jade ring with a lily pattern from his pocket, his eyes flashing with fervor and madness. Domingo is his biological son, connected to him by blood. As long as he is willing to put in the effort to make amends, in time the child will surely recognize him as his father. Once the child accepts him, there will be a great hope of winning back Charlotte. He will never give up. He wants to take the two of them, mother and child, back home to celebrate the new year together with his mother. Chapter 25. The day before the engagement, Charlotte took Domingo to choose a dress for the engagement. The shop assistant was very enthusiastic and picked out a white little suit with gold trim for the little guy. It perfectly matched the golden bow on her white dress. She was very satisfied with the child's fitting and was about to swipe her card to pay. She saw Nicholas coming into the store with someone. The man coughed violently and raised the little suit in his hand, saying, "Domingo, Grandma made you a suit by hand. Why don't you try it on?" Domingo hiding behind Charlotte with a wary expression. "Mommy, I'm scared." Nicholas's smile froze on his face as he deliberately slowed his tone. "I'm not a bad person. I'm your daddy. We met at the hospital the night before last. Don't you remember?" He operated the remote control to command the yellow toy car to change into various shapes, his voice filled with pride. "How is it, son? Isn't this car that Daddy designed for you really cool?" Domingo peered out from behind Charlotte to watch, his eyes flashing with desire. Then he ran over to Simon and pulled out his wallet, handing it to Nicholas in a babyish voice. "Money. Buy car. Little fool. This is a gift for you. No money required." Nicholas looked sorrowful, raising his hand as if to touch the child's head. The child was surprised and scared, retreating several steps. The little one stepped back, deeply pierced Nicholas. He struggled to hold back the tears that were surging out, saying, "Don't be afraid, son. I won't hurt you." "Nicholas, do you know that because of your sudden appearance the night before last, Domingo cried until midnight?" Charlotte protected the child behind her, looking displeased. "He is very timid and afraid of you. Can you please stop disturbing our peaceful life? I'm really annoyed." "Nicholas, Charlotte was actually doing well with her sleep therapy, but recently, because of you, she has started to suffer from insomnia again. Do you know that?" Simon said with a stern face, "They have my protection, and they don't need any of your gestures or compensation. Stop wasting your efforts. You have no right to interfere in my relationship with her." Nicholas stared into his eyes without backing down. The signature on that divorce agreement from back then was Miranda forged. "And it's not my handwriting, legally speaking. Charlotte is still my wife." Heh, Charlotte's personal information has all been deleted, which means this person no longer exists. How could a marriage still exist? Simon frowned in displeasure. "Don't make a fuss here, just leave." "Simon, you can't reason with a madman. Let's go," Charlotte said. The moment she pushed open the door, the crystal chandelier above her head fell with a crash, heading straight for the face of Domingo in her arms. Charlotte was taken aback. Turning to protect her son in her arms as she bent down, she realized a figure had covered her back, letting out a muffled groan. The chandelier shattered with a crisp sound. She looked up in surprise and saw that the person protecting her was Nicholas. The man's forehead dripped with 2 dark streaks of blood as he swayed and hoarsely said, "I'm fine, go check on Domingo." Charlotte looked down, unable to help but feel a whirlwind of emotions. She anxiously brushed aside the shards of the lamp from the child's right eye corner and trembled as she asked, "Domingo, is your eye okay?" The child cried out in agony, mixed with a woman's gleeful laughter, "Charlotte, why is it that my Luis is gone, but your son can live healthily? This isn't fair. I will ruin your son's eyes and make you suffer for a lifetime. Someone, quickly call an ambulance," Charlotte said to the crying child. "Hurry." Chapter 26. Returning to the hospital, Charlotte felt an immense weight on her heart. After intense rescue efforts, her son's right eye had finally stopped bleeding and was being kept for observation. She secretly breathed a sigh of relief, only to be urgently called into the doctor's office. "Elena, your son's right cornea is severely damaged and needs to have a corneal transplant surgery arranged within 72 hours. Otherwise, the ulceration of his cornea will gradually worsen and spread to the entire eye, and at that point, the right eyeball will have to be removed." "What?" Charlotte was like a thunderbolt, rushing over to fiercely hit the man standing by the wall. "Nicholas, why did you have to harm Miranda's son? Why did you push her to the brink? My Domingo is only 2 years old. If he goes blind, how can he live? What do you want me to do?" "Charlotte, the death of Miranda's son was an accident." Nicholas held her shoulder and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, I will definitely find a suitable cornea for the child quickly. His eyes will be fine. And I have already had someone lock up Miranda. She can no longer harm you. How can I not be anxious? Domingo's cornea is very special, different from that of a normal child." Charlotte broke down in tears. "Where can I find a suitable donor in such a short time?" "You bastard. How far do you intend to push us mother and son before you stop?" "Charlotte," Simon entered the room with a serious expression, "I have already contacted all the medical resource banks both domestically and internationally to help find a cornea. I believe we will have news soon." Charlotte saw him and her tears surged even more, rushing into the man's arms and saying, "Simon, I really hate Nicholas for putting my son in this situation." "Boo-hoo." "Charlotte, shut up." Simon glared at Nicholas and shouted sternly, "Do you understand that the person Charlotte least wants to see in this lifetime is you, Lynn? If you still care about the past relationship, then hurry up and leave. Don't bother her again." Nicholas looked at the softly sobbing Charlotte, pain spreading from the soles of his feet throughout his body, making him unsteady on his feet. He originally thought about building a good relationship with his son. Unexpectedly, things went against his wishes, causing his son to suffer such great pain. Domingo's eyes must not be harmed. Otherwise, he will never forgive himself for the rest of his life. He stepped back and closed the door, making a decision. During dinner, Charlotte received a notification from the doctor, saying that a suitable cornea donor had been found, and the surgery could be performed early tomorrow morning. She was both surprised and delighted. Inquiring about the patient who provided the cornea donation, the doctor said, "Elena, it's the hospital's policy that the donating parties remain unaware of each other. Please don't make it difficult for me. Let the child rest early." "Okay, thank you." Charlotte returned to the ward, eager to share this good news with Simon. The man hesitated, remaining silent for a long time before saying, "Charlotte, there's something I think it's better to tell you. The donor is Nicholas. He went to the ophthalmology center this morning for a full set of examinations, and all the parameters matched well. However, generally, the donors for corneal transplants are patients who have been deceased for no more than 6 hours. If a living person donates, they will go blind." "What?" Charlotte's smile froze at the corners of her lips, incredulously asking, "He's gone mad?" "Charlotte, I'm not crazy. I know exactly what I'm doing." Outside the window, Nicholas's voice came through. "Since our Domingo was born, I haven't fulfilled a single responsibility as a father. I want to do something for my son." Charlotte looked at him, her tone faltering. "Nicholas, even if you donate your cornea for our son, I will still marry Simon and will not return to you. Are you willing? If you go blind, you will be discriminated against." "I am willing." Nicholas stared into her eyes with determination. "I am willing to do anything for you and the child, even if it means going blind, even if it costs me my life. I am more than willing." Chapter 27. "But I am unwilling." Charlotte with a cold expression, "Domingo is my son, and has nothing to do with your Lynn family. No matter what you do, I will never let my son acknowledge you." "Charlotte," Nicholas looked at her with a pained expression, and said hoarsely, "You can't be so cruel to me. You can't take away my right as a father. Domingo's father is Simon." She interrupted him, "If you are not satisfied and want to regain custody of the child, you can sue me in court." Nicholas was so angry that his face turned pale, and in the end, he said nothing, throwing his sleeves and leaving. "Mommy, hug." The little one lying on the hospital bed opened his arms and called out. Charlotte held the child tightly, kissing his little face. "Son, don't be afraid. We will definitely find a suitable cornea for you to regain your sight. Efforts will not betray those who are determined." 56 hours later, Charlotte finally received news of another suitable cornea donor. The corneal transplant surgery was performed that night. Nicholas arrived inquiring, but was blocked at the hospital entrance by Simon's people and couldn't get any closer. During Domingo's recovery period, Nicholas sent countless toy cars like a flowing stream, all of which were returned by Charlotte in their original condition. On New Year's Eve, Domingo was discharged from the hospital with his eyes healed. Meanwhile, Charlotte and Simon held a grand engagement ceremony. On the car, Charlotte was adjusting the hem of her gown, noticing that the streetlights throughout the city were adorned with blooming lily baskets, their fragrance intoxicating. She was watching happily when Domingo exclaimed excitedly, "Mommy, so many flowers." "Domingo, these are your mommy's favorite lilies. Daddy had them airlifted from Country F." Simon looked at Charlotte with a smile. "The meaning of the flower is 100 years of harmony, many children and much happiness." Charlotte, feeling her cheeks burn under his intense gaze, retorted, "Don't misinterpret the meaning of the flower. It only represents 100 years of harmony, not many children and much happiness." "Why not?" His hand fell on her lower abdomen. Smiling Miranda, "The seeds have already been sown." Simon, Charlotte, both shy and angry, swatted his hand away. "The child is still here. Can you please tone it down a bit? If you keep talking like that, I won't talk to you anymore." Okay, I won't say anymore." Simon interlaced his fingers with hers and softly said, "In 2 hours, you will become my fiancé. It feels so unreal, like a dream." Charlotte kissed him on the cheek and said, "Does it feel real now?" Simon was about to answer when his expression suddenly changed. Turn. She looked up and couldn't help but gasp. A white SUV was coming straight at them in the opposite lane. The woman in the driver's seat was actually Miranda? Wasn't this woman locked up by Nicholas? How did she suddenly appear here? Without waiting, Charlotte understood. Miranda gripped the steering wheel tightly and crashed forward, her eyes burning with hatred. "Charlotte, you will never find happiness. I will make your whole family accompany my son in death." Bang! A violent crash echoed. Charlotte was suddenly pushed forward by a strong force, only to be tightly protected by a tall figure. The sound of horns and the chatter of pedestrians echoed outside the window. "Oh my, the front of this black Maybach has been crushed, and the driver inside is bleeding a lot." The female driver of the white SUV was cut in half. It was so tragic. Charlotte's heart sank as she opened the car door and ran forward. Blocking her car was Nicholas's car. The car had collided with the white SUV, and the front was already deformed. Her mind went blank as she rushed forward, pulling desperately at Nicholas, who was trapped in the driver's seat, saying, "Nicholas, you can't die. Hold on for me." The man looked at her with a dazed expression and weakly said, "Is Domingo's eye okay? Are you all right?" "We're all fine," Charlotte yelled. "Don't close your eyes. We're taking you to the hospital right away." Chapter 28. Nicholas was rushed into the rescue room. Before long, the doctor came out, his expression grave. "The patient's injuries are too severe. All resuscitation efforts were ineffective." "Who is Charlotte?" "The patient wants to see you." "It's me." She numbly followed the doctor to the operating table, seeing Nicholas lying there, lifeless with various tubes inserted into him, his face cleaned of blood, holding a coin in his limp hand. Charlotte, her voice was bitter. "Nicholas, I'm here. What do you want to say to me?" The man struggled to open his eyes, took out the jade ring from his pocket, and weakly said, "You promised me you could grant 3 wishes. I've used one. There are still 2 left. Does it still count? What exactly do you want to say?" "Charlotte, will you put on this wedding ring and comfort me, please?" The man's eyes were pleading. "Just this last time. Wear it for 1 minute." Charlotte remained silent. Nicholas disappointedly put away the ring and, barely hanging on, said, "Then can you call me Nicholas brother one more time? I beg you." Charlotte lowered her head, her tone difficult. "Thank you for saving me and the child, but I'm sorry." Nicholas helplessly let his arms drop, his heartbeat becoming a straight line, yet his eyes were wide open. She raised her hand to close the man's eyes, her voice choked. "Nicholas, goodbye. I hope we don't meet again in the next life, and I hope you won't lose your memory in your next life, forgetting the one you love." Due to Nicholas's unexpected death, the engagement of Charlotte was postponed. All the social elites of South City attended his funeral. Only Charlotte was absent, and Simon attended on her behalf. When he returned, he brought a large box for Charlotte, saying it was from Mrs. Lynn. He also brought the inheritance distribution documents from lawyer Nicholas, and the man transferred all his company shares to her and Domingo. Charlotte opened the box. Inside were a bumblebee car and AI devices. She caressed these objects. A scene flashed before her eyes of that birthday night when Nicholas waited downstairs to show her. The man, with a confident demeanor and a beaming smile, said, "Charlotte, this is your birthday gift from me. Do you like it? Son, doesn't the car I designed for you look cool?" In an instant, he lay on the hospital bed, breath faint, eyes filled with expectation. "Charlotte, can you call me Nicholas' brother one more time?" Her eyes stung with tears as she packed the box and said, "Have the heart disease specialist Professor Liu take good care of Mrs. Lynn's health, and then send Domingo over to keep her company." "I will," Simon said. "Nicholas's last wish was to be buried next to your mother's grave. Do you think that's all right?" "Sure, let's listen to him." Charlotte looked out at the sky filled with fireworks and the sound of firecrackers, her expression melancholic. "My mother liked him very much when she was alive. Winter snow melts, spring returns to the earth, and in the blink of an eye, it is New Year's Eve again." Charlotte and Simon held a grand wedding. Before going on stage, she saw her son doodling on paper and asked in confusion, "Domingo, what are you drawing?" "I'm drawing a dream I had last night." Domingo held up the drawing and said, "Mommy, look, here is a very deep cliff, and the person at the end of the line is talking to an old man." Her expression subtly changed as she took the painting. It turned out that the scene in the painting was exactly the dream that Nicholas had once described. The man seemed to have reached some sort of agreement with the old man. He was thrown by the old man to the other side of the cliff, his head swirling with countless halos. It turns out that the dream was not a lie he fabricated to chase her back. "It's true. Mommy, why are you crying?" Charlotte wiped away her tears and put away her drawing, saying, "It's nothing. We should go on stage now." The lively wedding march began to play as she stepped forward, holding up the hem of her wedding dress, towards Simon. Just as he was putting the ring on her finger, Charlotte accidentally saw a large black butterfly flying into the banquet hall. Her gaze involuntarily followed the butterfly, watching it land on her son's small face for 2 seconds before it flew to her left ring finger. It blocked Simon from putting on the ring. She looked at the butterfly, and a scene flashed before her eyes. On the day the first-year final exams ended, she was on the rooftop watching the sunset with Nicholas and gave him a coin. "Nicholas, brother, this is a wishing coin my mother gave me. You can use it to exchange for 3 wishes. What do you want to wish for?" The young man blew on the coin and smiled brightly, saying, "For my first wish, I hope my Charlotte can get into her dream university, remain youthful, and be safe and healthy." "Hey, take this seriously." She raised her hand and punched him lightly. "This is a wishing coin my mother got from Yonghe Temple. It's very effective, so say it properly." Nicholas stopped smiling, his expression serious. "I wish my Charlotte can get into her dream university." "What about the second wish?" Nicholas carefully put the coin into his wallet. "I haven't thought of it yet. I'll tell you when I do." The scene shifts to Nicholas holding a coin before his death, his eyes shining with eager light. "Charlotte, can you call me Nicholas' brother one more time? I beg you." Charlotte gazes at the butterfly and softly says, "Nicholas, brother, I will be happy. You can leave in peace." As her words fall, the butterfly flaps its wings and flies towards the distant sky. She allows Simon to put on the wedding ring, smiling, "Happy wedding, Simon." I'm very happy. I finally married you." The man wraps his arms around her waist and whispers, "Shall we give Domingo a little sister?" "Good," Charlotte said.